This is Charter Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance in Long Beach, and we are joined by one of its council members. Her name is Suzie Price. And Madam Councilwoman, I'd like to speak with you about a new program. It's a pilot program that's launching in Long Beach. A lot of cities are adopting similar technology, and it's adoption of body cameras by police officers. You're also a deputy district attorney, so I'm particularly interested in your views about this pilot program that will provide some Long Beach officers with body cameras, but not all.
That's correct. So you're absolutely correct. A lot of agencies are now adopting the body camera policies and using body cameras in their investigations. And district attorneys' offices throughout the state are now trying to figure out how to incorporate that technology into our discovery practices. So the technology is presenting some challenges, but I think everyone's kind of the mindset that this is a good challenge to get through because of the transparency that body cameras provide. And yes, I'm very proud of the fact that the city of Long Beach is getting involved in this. I'm very proud of the fact that we're being prudent about the approach and doing a pilot program.
You think it's important at this stage to launch it as a pilot only because there have been so many other cities and agencies that have adopted? Could we not just go in and use the experiences of other jurisdictions?
And you know, we could, absolutely, and that's an argument that one of my council colleagues actually made at the council meeting. But I believe that anytime we're going to take on this type of a commitment that's going to have future financial and policy.
It's over $200,000
just for the pilot. And we're talking 40 officers. So when we're going to be taking on this challenge that has a long-term impact, the best way to do it is to do a pilot. And a lot of those agencies, I'll tell you, did not do a pilot. Many, many lessons to be learned. The city of Long Beach is actually doing things a little bit differently than some of the other agencies.
Explain.
So our department put together a committee back in March, and in March of 2014. So they've been working on this for a while. They brought all the stakeholders together, and they really examined what technology was available, what the needs of the agency would be. You know, I firmly believe that you can't apply the same product to every agency and have it have the same effect. So they really looked, and they're using a product that the other agencies are not using. And
can you describe what's unique about it, if you know?
It has all sorts of different bells and whistles. Like the mounting options are different, capacity, storage capacity, everything. The way that the data is transferred. It's really overall, it's a product that they feel is best suited for the department.
And I understand, I was looking at some of the documents, that a full request for proposal was issued, and I think maybe 9 bids came in. So this was an in-depth process.
Absolutely. It was an in-depth process, and all the stakeholders. What I'm proud of with our city, which I know for a fact doesn't happen everywhere, is everyone had a seat at the table during this process. So, you know, who's this going to impact most on a day-to-day basis? The officers. This is changing the practice. At the very least, it's an additional tool that they have on them that they now need to be aware of in terms of it.
What's so interesting about the evolution of body cams is I recall that when they first hit the market, the officers were apoplectic. They couldn't even imagine being videotaped 24/7 if that was the technology that was adopted. I know you can go on and off, but they were absolutely opposed. Now it seems as if the officers really nationwide are much more amenable to the idea because in some ways it protects them.
Absolutely. And let's face it, over the last few years, the police departments and the profession of policing has taken some hard hits. And, you know, we all face that in whatever entity or company that we work for. When there's something bad that happens with one person or one officer, there are broad generalizations made, and this does in fact protect them. But what it also does is support the mission of community policing, which is something that police agencies throughout this nation are adopting as a way to give the public more trust in police and to improve relations.
Do you believe that the use of body cameras, the presence of body cameras, improves trust, improves legitimacy amongst the community?
I would hope so. I think that additional feature is a safeguard that would build a good foundation for trust if trust is not already there.
I see.
I happen to value the work of our police officers. I always have. I'm a law enforcement partner.
You are, as a deputy DA.
I am. That's what I've dedicated my career to, and I believe that the majority of men and women who are out there are doing nothing more than to try to keep us safe.
And it would also seem to me, and I think the research suggests this, that with body cams, suggestions of use of excessive force can be verified or proven false. And so that could save money for cities, because you know better than I how much money cities have to pay out with these excessive force complaints.
Absolutely. I mean, I do think that the body cameras are a win-win for everybody. You know, once we figure out how to use them, our policy is still being formed, so we haven't really figured out exactly how the implementation is going to roll out. But I agree.
Do you know if the person who is being videotaped, I don't want to say the defendant, because who knows if they're a defendant, but will they be informed this is being videotaped? Or is that part of the policy that's being considered?
I don't.
That's fair.
I'm sure it's something that's being considered.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the official policy is on that.
Right. And what about the footage? Is the footage by definition public record? Or again, we're still looking into the question?
Yes, that is a legal question. It really depends on the case.
Right.
Obviously, if it's footage from a criminal investigation, it will get transferred to the district attorney's office, where it will then be part of the criminal discovery available to the defendant.
Right.
If it's related to a lawsuit, then there may be some disclosure requirements. Whether or not these videos all would be subject to the Public Records Act, I don't believe that they would. But again, that's all going to be determined in the policy. But it's depending on the nature of the request and why it's being requested, certainly some of them will be disclosed.
I want to broaden out our conversation and talk about crime generally.
Sure.
I have been perplexed by the statistics coming out, not just out of Long Beach, not just out of California, but nationwide, that as our economy has been improving, crime has been increasing. Because generally with an improving economy, crime dips. With a sour economy, people feel the need to commit crime, but yet we had crime decreasing during the recession and now increase on the recovery.
Well, and I've heard the same thing, that there's an uptick nationwide in certain classes of crimes. And I can't speak to other states other than I've heard that too. But I can tell you that in California, there is an uptick in violent crimes, and there's an uptick in Long Beach, at least, in property theft and residential crimes.
So let's break that out for a second. Violent crimes. What's going on here? Do we have a sense as to why? Any research, any anecdotal information?
Well, my philosophy actually of what I think is going on applies to both violent and petty crimes. And I think what's happened in California is that we have taken an effort over the last few years through legislation and initiatives to basically reduce prison overcrowding.
Right.
And as a result of that, we've created some programs for diversion and misdemeanor treatment of previous felony crimes.
Here's what's baffling to me, though. I understand that there are many who believe that if you release people early or divert them, there's a risk of increased crime. But other states haven't done that, and their crime is increasing. So that's why I wonder if there's a causal link.
Well, and that's why I'm saying I can't really speak to the other states, but what I can tell you, I can speak from firsthand experiences. Let's take a drug offense, for example. Possession of drugs, methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, those used to be felonies.
Prop 47.
Right. Now they're misdemeanors. What is the difference now in terms of sentencing? When they were felonies, you could incentivize people to go into treatment. Treatment is a long-term process. We're talking 18 months to get treatment. If someone is not self-motivated to enter into treatment, what else is going to get them into treatment? A court mandate. That court mandate is no longer an option, because now, would you rather sign up for an 18-month treatment program or serve 5 days in jail?
Or
what would
0
you rather
days in
do?
jail.
Or 0. It depends on the jurisdiction, right? Or 30 if you have a long history. But the bottom
under
line
47, you can't consider priors.
Well, that's right. Well, they can consider the priors in terms of whether they get 5 days or 10 days for sentencing. That's what I'm talking about.
Her name is Suzie Price. She is a member of the Long Beach City Council. My name is Brad Pomerance, and this is Charter Local Edition.